idea generating. This is such an important part of design that it's always imperative to go over it because everyone's going to have their own unique way of gathering ideas. Basically, that's the question. How exactly do you get new ideas? What if you're in that funk and you're just not sure what you want to design? How do you go about getting new ideas and get back into the flow of things? The most important thing, do not fall in love with that first idea. I think this is essentially the art and design kiss of death. Yes, your first idea, it might be seemingly awesome right off the bat, but their chances are maybe it's the fifth, the seventh, the 30th that is actually the idea that you're going to want to go with. Now, we usually start you guys off with that thumbnail sketch, and the thumbnail sketch is sort of the most basic, um, introductory way of getting used to idea generating. Or it's also easily accessible. You could be at a cafe, you could be sitting in a park. As long as you have a little scrap of paper and a pencil or a pen, you're going to be able to get your ideas off. So here's what I think people worry about. They worry about perfectionism with this stage, and they always get this comment, you know, but I can't draw. It's okay. With a thumbnail sketch, you're just doing a quick gesture. You're just getting your ideas down. There are no corrections. Some teachers actually make the students do them in pen so that you are forced to not erase. This is a really great practice. I actually design with the Flair pens, so I don't erase in my stage either. Erasing, just go to the next one. Like something isn't right, don't worry about it being right. Just move on to the next one. They're often pretty small. They're only like maybe an inch or two high, and you can get a couple on a page. And it's just a good way to draft out whatever concepts might be coming to your mind. So, don't worry about what they look like. They just need to make sense for you. So certain shading, like the lines, that could be your text. This is more for like an art scene, but artists use it, designers use it, web designers use it. UI UX are going to use this just to get your ideas out there. You can have some details with, your type, form functions or form follows functions at the top right. And you can see one of the headers or it says new, but how many ways, in this case, 2, 4, 6, 8 ways, can you get the same information out, but slightly different so that, again, maybe that top right one's the first idea. What more exists beyond this? Now, I always do include this one because it's a little bit tighter of a drawing, but you can see the type itself, and I'll move my mouse so we can see it right here. This would be the actual like paragraphs or body in the work. So you're dealing with the imagery and then the words, but we don't have to worry about the words right now. We just want to see what their placement is. So you can push in a little detail. Don't worry about that. It all depends on your drawing style, but also, don't worry about lack of details also. Most projects are going to start with this, but what I like to go over is what also exists beyond that. So a thumbnail sketch is good. You'll probably do it regardless, but what else could be an inspiration for you? All right, so it's the sketchbooks, the sketching types. This is the one we're probably the most used to, but what else is out there? So you can make lists. You can put those lists in your sketchbooks. The one Jessica Hish video that I like to show shows her doing her list making, where she's like, I sound like a crazy person. It's like Christmas, Christmas bells, Christmas trees. This is pretty much what the lists will look like. You're going to, exhaust them basically, just like you would the thumbnail. Photo references. So if you were going to be designing something, what images would be, utilized for inspiration for said piece. And this also somewhat ties into the mood board. What is the mood of the piece? What should the types look like? What should the colors look like, etc. Mind mapping is a sort of different way of doing the lists. It's a little bit more visual. Writers will also use this method also. So if you take a creative writing class, you'll probably use a mind map there. And also the Pinterest, which does somewhat tie back into the mood board. Pinterest is an online mood board, but what's nice with this is you can really collate your thoughts into one cohesive curation. You can use Pinterest, of course, digitally, and what I like to call the analog style, which we will get to that. All right, so the list making. I honestly do start with the list making. I sort of work in tandem with that in my thumbnail sketches, and this is sort of like a brain dump. What I like to do is say set your phone for like 2 minutes. So whatever your timer you want, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 seconds even though that's not too much time. I would set it to a time that goes a little bit beyond your comfort zone, because say 30 seconds, you're like, boom, done. You might not have gotten to the stage where you're like, oh gosh, pink elephants. The 2 minutes is sort of a good one, because like your first 30 to 60 seconds is getting out those first ideas, but then the second minute is going, uh-oh, what else does this represent? So just see how many words you can come up with within that allotted amount of time. So, of course, some ideas are going to be great and some aren't, but that's all right. Sometimes it's the crazy ones that come out during this, and those are the ones you might want to explore a little bit further. So this one was more for UI UX. So what would you need? What are your key concepts? How does it flow? And you can see they have like their symbols. I'll move my mouse again. So your asterisks, your bullet points, triangles, and you can see they have a key over here of what that would relate to. So, you know, I use something similar to this. I guess it's like the bullet journaling style, where you put the little, it's like the one here that says info. It's not a closed square. I just make open squares and I can check them off, like check yes or X no. You'll find you'll have some sort of system that you create with this. And for the idea generating, that's what this is all about, is just you finding a system that works best for you. Photo references. We all have phones for the most part, I would say, at this stage in our societal evolution. If you're out and about and you go, ooh, that brick looks great, or ooh, that color, or this weird chipped paint, or this, and one of my students has like these trash can series, and then it's the metal and how the rust looks like it. Take a photo. Take a photo of it. Take whatever interests you. Maybe you are an illustrator and you're always drawing cats and you see cute cats around. Take a photo of them. Put it in a folder, and then you can reference back to these later. And what's great with this is it's also building your library for visual elements. So if you need an overlay or a texture of some sort, you can probably find it in your organization. Now, of course, that's the key word there, is to find an organization right off the bat. So maybe like main folders for like people, places, things, and then subdivide from there, like another folder, animals, buildings, etc. And then another subfolder, cats, dogs, etc. And then you can put them all in there. If you're a photo reference style person, get your folder structure set up early on so you don't have to organize it later. So again, do you have a specific project? So Aaron Draplin works in this style, who's a popular designer also. He'll just go online, dump them into a folder, and then think about it. So the key word there is you think about it if you're doing this version of it, not the one where you're taking your own photos. The point here is to glean the information from it, not copying it. Copying is bad. Copying is illegal. This is plagiarism. So if it already exists, don't do it. You're just using this as a muse. So in his class, which I like to show, sometimes he talks about like building a family crest. And he's like, well, what does a crest actually look like? And then he just sort of takes to 5 that he likes, puts them on a page and looks at them and thinks about like, well, okay, there's an arch of type, there's the shield, there's an animal of some sort, and maybe a saying. So from this, you're gleaning what elements you need to be paying attention to actually be building. So he's using it as a muse. So use it as a muse, don't steal. All right. Speaking of the devil, this is a screen grab from Draplin's Skillshare course on finding inspiration. And he's having people build a family crest. And this is him just looking at crest saying, all right, what parts do we need? What parts do I need to build? Mood boards are really awesome. So mood boards are going to set the tone for the piece. And it's going to also help your client see your vision for what they're having you build. Think of it as like a mood collage, and this is specifically really great for branding, so that you know what your colors, your type, and your sort of style / theme is going to be. Also, what's nice with this is, if we're dealing with our clients, if you aren't in sync with what they're looking for, this is a stage where things go, oh, whoa, whoa, wait, I hate the color blue or whatever. And then and if yours has blue in it, you're like, oops, well, okay, I'll go back to the drawing board on this. It's a great way to get everyone on the same page. So I worked with Building the Foundry in Chambersburg, PA, which is an artists co-op. And we created from Pinterest. So Pinterest was our initial, I'll say, inspiration. So we used Pinterest to find what we thought the vision for the artist co-op would be. And then we picked a couple, you can see how many is this? 3, 6, 9. So around 10-ish per page. On our mood board, so that whenever we opened it to the public for this is what we're interested in doing, is anyone interested, they could have a visual cue of where we were heading with our actual branding. So it was rustic, it was industrial, it was repurposing. It's an artist co-op, so you have, let's admit it, no budget. So how can you make a store and a workspace on super minimal to zero budget? So that's what this was sort of showing people, how you could take that and spin it towards the benefit. So when people came to the introductory meeting, they could sort of see where our direction was heading with it. This one is showing the design styling. It's sophisticated, color accented, modern, and traditional. Now you can come up with these words. It's the ones during the projects that I make fun of. It's like, it's classy, but it's refined. It's edgy, but it's sophisticated. So you're going to have these weird words that tie in with your project. This is something that we need to think about because the clients are going to have this. So what does the Facebook campaign look and feel like? What is the color scheme? What is the typography looking like? How does this all work together? Just some more on these. So you can see it has a sort of collage-y feel to this. You can actually collage a mood board also. You don't have to work digitally with it. And it's great for web also, just so that you can see what your type is looking like, what is the palettes, etc., and does everything look like it sort of flows together. All right, so as well as finding that tone for the piece, is also going to explore the color that it represents as well as the typeface or faces. So the families or the header type or the complementary typeface. Mind mapping. So mind mapping, like I said, is that fancy list making, but we're going to start with one main concept, and the main, it's like you make the word like, I'll just use the Foundry since we just saw it, like the Foundry, and then I put a circle around it. And then the next branch out with a circle, it would be artists cooperative. And then branching off from the main, again, would be a store. And then another branch, classes, another branch, events. So those are our main categories. And then we keep spidering out from there. So it starts with the circle and then it flows from there. So they're all connected to the central concept and everything's going to branch out from there. So just think of this as a fancier, more organized list system. This helps one of the tricky things with design is we think we know the product that we're designing for. This helps you. You'll know what your product is after you're done with this. So many people want to jump into the project right away. What is more beneficial is truly understanding what it is you're designing for so that you're hitting all the points that are needed to be communicated. So there it is. That would have been sort of what I was verbally explaining. We have our main bubble in the middle, and then the offshoots from that are our so think of it as a header is our main one, and then the subheader, and then it subs from there. So it would just keep sort of trickling down from there. And you can have really super fancy ones if you want to get all into it. Now, some people will do these for podcasts professionally. So if someone's doing a podcast or a lecture, they'll sit and they will do a really detailed mind mapping like this, and then it can sort of be sold as a visual poster of information later down the line. All right, so our digital Pinterest. So this is similar to our mood boarding, but it's all online. You can set your boards up, and the key word here is you can also keep it private. And I think a lot of people forget this aspect of Pinterest. You don't have to have everything public. Pinterest, it's sort of like anything else. Do you use it for the powers of good or evil? So if all you do is look up, I don't know, I'll go with the stereotypes, what to do with mason jars and cooking recipes. Yeah, that's all it's going to feed you. But like anything that has a sort of intellectual UI attached to it, it's going to give you what you look for. So if you start looking up design, it's going to start giving you more design or web or art or drawing, whatever it is you're interested in. So what I recommend is, let's say it's the Foundry, because this is how it started. We started our Foundry here on Pinterest after our, months of meetings, and this is when we started getting more towards the visual. We kept it private. We shared it between three of us, and we all added things that were like, I think this would work for what, this product is. Find the imagery and the type that is in alignment with your concept. Gather as many as you can. That's the key word there. I'm not saying, and I know my projects, I usually have like 20. I'm saying like 200. Like, the more you have, the better, because then when you pull it back and look at it, you can extract those common themes, the ties that binds between the imagery. Be like, oh, you know what it really is? It's reclaimed wood and slab serif typefaces is really what I'm interested in. So you have to really dump a lot into it, which, let's be honest, is quick to do in Pinterest, because there is so much out there, which is awesome about it. But it does help you see what your themes are. So here's a sampling of our mood board through Pinterest, that is, the digital one. So it was all of us, the three of us who were on the organizing creator committee. What do the shelves look like? What does this, because we had to not only think of brand, but we had to think about the actual, what does the store itself look like once it's built. So all of that went into this. The second version is, let's say you're offline and you want to do something similarly. I always keep my magazines and my mailing flyers, etc., for a little bit. Like once a month, go through it, rip things out, and then just glue them, tape them into your sketchboard, or sorry, your sketchbook. You can also, this is like a mood board. What's nice with this is sometimes you'll just be sitting in the studio and you're like, I don't quite know what to work on today. I keep these and then I just go to them and I start flipping through them, and chances are it's going to jar a new idea out of me. So it's just ye old magazines. Cut out those magazines. Cut out newspapers, mailers that you think are interesting. Maybe it's just the typeface. Maybe it's the colors. Maybe it's an imagery or mood from it. Keep them in a sketchbook and reference them later for safekeeping. Some will just glue them on like heavy cardstock and put them in a folder. A reference folder works also, so it depends on your work style. But what's fun with this is you can then go in and make it all sorts of crazy and make it look like a collage, or find paint chips, etc., or write about it. Sets the mood for the piece. So for this, you can get super creative with it, or you can just leave it like in a file and nothing fancy. As usual, all this is unique and up to you, but part of our journey is to explore what system does work best for you. So the only way you can find that out is to experiment. So I would say from here on out, start experimenting between all of these, and you'll be able to find the style that works best for you.